Okay, I have an angle. And if I take my protractor and I measure this angle, what's the measure of that angle? 30 degrees. So if I have an angle, and we'll call it angle 1, and angle 1 is less than 90 degrees, that has a special name. We would call that an acute angle. Then I would say angle 2 is equal to 90 degrees. What kind of angle will we call that? A right angle. And I call this angle 3. And I would say that angle 3 is greater than 90, right? But it is also less than 180. What do we call that? Obtuse. Obtuse. Okay? Now if I take that same angle and it's equal to 180 degrees, what do we call that? Anybody know what we call that? What type of angle? It's a line, but it's straight. So we would call it a straight angle. So now for example number 2, it says that the measure of angle LKN is equal to the absolute value of LKN. Alright, so what they want us to do is they want us to kind of figure out what this measure is, right? Well, how do I do that? Yeah, I could use the protractor, but I gotta know which number set to use. So if I start here, you want to start with the zeros. So I'm going to go 0, right? And I'm going to come all the way around to here, which is, it looks like about 145. Does that make sense? So there's two lines there. One says, or no, yeah, 145, right? The 145 mark is also where 35 is. So how do I know that it's 35 and not 145? Well, I'm going to start at one point, and I could go the other way too. If I started at L and went this way, but I mean, the measurement, the sweeping, I want to start at one point or one side and measure. And since I want to start with 0, I would go around and count to the left. Next, they want us to tell them what the measurement of angle JKL is. And, well, let me change the color of this. I should have did this in red, but we'll do the next one in blue. So they want the measure of JKL. And the measure of JKL, what they're really looking for is J to K to L. Now that one's a little trickier. Now this one, I've got 90. So J, angle J minus, well, let me write this out. If I measure, you would technically do this, say HKJ minus 8, the measure of HKL. Now you guys probably can figure out how to do this mathematically, but there's a reason Mr. Adams is writing everything out. I want us to do it formally. So I want the measure of this and the measure of this. Well, I know the measure of this is 90 degrees. And what's the measure of the second angle? Well, I slid my protractor over a little bit, but it's actually 35 degrees. So when I subtract 35 from 90, what do I get? 55. So let me label this in here. From here to here, it's 90 degrees. What we're really interested in is this shaded region from here to here. Does that make sense? And the only way I can do that is I have to subtract those two, so I get 55 degrees. Okay?